Good evening if you're watching live. Good morning, good afternoon if you're not. I'm Kerry and I'm part of Equilibrium Collective, and I'm joined by my co-host this evening, Sarah. And we have also welcomed tonight David as well. David's joined us recently, actually. But due to unforeseen circumstances and change of program, me, Sarah, and David are going to have a discussion this evening. So I hope that you're going to join us, ask questions, get involved, give us your opinions, because that is all we're sharing this evening is our opinions on our experiences on witchcraft, divination, development, just all kind of areas of spirituality. Now, usually we cover things, or we have done up to this point, we've covered paranormal. So it's kind of diverting a little bit from paranormal today, and we're going to be talking a little bit more about the spiritual realm in terms of spirituality. So a little bit about myself is I traditionally follow a spiritual route, but at the same time I'm drawn to the Wiccan persuasion lifestyle. I abide by the ever mind the rule of three, and I'm kind of believe in karmatic energy. But we're all different, and we're going to be sharing our different opinions and kind of like paths that we follow. So yeah, Sarah, I'll leave it to you now.
Okay, I'm pagan. I don't follow the rule of three at all because for me, I find it contradictory to my beliefs. I believe in balance. So whatever energy you put out, you're going to get back, as opposed to putting the energy out and getting it back threefold, if that makes sense. It makes sense to me, and that's why I resonate with that. David, what about you? You're a druid pathway?
Yes. So I personally believe, there's some druids believe in karma and whatnot, but I personally believe, how do I put this? So I commonly describe magic as a double-sided axe. There's two sides, and it's just like any other tool. You can use it for good, you can use it for bad. I do believe that for every action there is an equal and opposite reaction, just scientifically. So I don't believe that it necessarily is going to come back on you, but I do believe that if you're going to curse somebody, that there's going to be like I said, an equal and opposite reaction. So just be prepared for it.
So it sounds like we're kind of saying the same things but different completely. I believe that, yeah. No, I do believe that what you put out there, you get back. That's why I believe in karmatic energy. I believe that, I believe that there is a good and the bad, and Wiccanism for me is about acknowledging both and finding the equilibrium between it all. A little put that out there.
Little plug there.
Yeah, I don't necessarily I'm here a week.
I don't necessarily believe that it'll come back on me. I just believe that somewhere along the way there will be something else that will happen.
Like a butterfly effect, almost.
Kind of. Yeah. Now, in Druid, we do have what we call hexens, and these are here in America. These are people who specifically specialize in hexes, and that's their whole thing. So
okay, that's interesting. I've never heard, but then obviously there's a whole cultural difference as well between the UK and America, and there's a lot of hoodoo and voodoo kind of links with especially like Southern America, isn't it? Is that where you're from, Southern America?
I am considered in part of the Southern America. I'm in Arkansas, but kind of like a state down and then over Louisiana. That's where a lot of voodoo and hoodoo comes in. So in Louisiana, that's real big known for voodoo.
See, because we all have places that we want to go and visit, and for lots of different reasons. So I have my paranormal bucket list. I say bucket list really loosely because I've got no plan of going anywhere soon. But I have a list of things that I would like to do and places I like to go. But there's also I would love to go to New Orleans, Savannah, all those kind of areas, just because of the spiritual link that they have and the kind of roots that they've got there. So it's definitely something I'd like to go, but I don't know enough about it to be able to actually give an opinion or, have a discussion about that. But it is interesting. And that's one thing I love about this type of pathway, the spiritual pathway, regardless of where you kind of drift off to. There's always areas where you can meet and quite happily, it syncs a little bit. So that's what I kind of like about our pathway, really. And also, I don't feel like we always acknowledge. I say that knowing that some people are quite serious about the Evermind, the rule of three. But in terms of, pathways, that we don't really discourage, or there's no right or wrong way. And we do always say that this journey is so personal to the person that's going through it. Their preferences and the way they work is really unique to them. Do you agree?
Yeah.
I believe that whatever you believe is true for you. So your path is your truth. I believe we are all here to experience a different dynamic. So what might be true for one person may not be true at all for someone else. We're all our soul evolves at different levels. Some souls are older, some are newer. So whatever that vibration is, that's the path that you end up falling onto, and that's where your lessons and your truths will be.
Yeah, that makes sense. I had a conversation actually with someone quite recently about vibrations and working on vibrations and attracting what resonates with you as well. And if you're working on a type of vibration, maybe that is why you're drawn to different aspects of different paths. So that's quite an interesting approach. I've never really considered that. So
I think it also depends on where you're from, because like I mentioned earlier, Louisiana has a lot of hoodoo and voodoo. They do a lot of root work and spiritual work and things like that. But one state over from me in Tennessee, they're very Christian. But up in the mountainous areas, they have I'm going to say long-standing traditions, but how old can a tradition be when your country is 200 years old? They also do a lot of root work, but they have traditions that are unique to the Tennessee mountains and hills. So it really just depends on like where you're from, especially in America, as far as things like tradition goes. And then on top of that, when the settlers came over from the different countries, so we had Germans and British families and so on and so forth that would come over. They would also bring their traditions with them, but then they would have to adapt them to what ingredients and sources we had here.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's evolution. Even traditions evolve.
Evolutionary. Yeah, I agree. So how did you guys get on to your path? Like, David, how did you begin your journey?
Oh, gosh. So I've been studying and practicing, I would say eclectic, since I was about 9. My sister gave me a book, and I started reading it, and I loved it. And I just kind of went from there. I want to say about 7 years ago, 6-7 years ago, I met my high priestess, my current high priestess, and I asked her if I could learn from her. And she started working with me and everything, and I just kind of fell into the path of druidry from there. And it's been an interesting one.
Sarah?
For me, I didn't really identify as anything until about 2 years ago. But looking back, I've pretty much been on the path for about 15 years. I got my first deck of oracle cards when I was 16, a gift from my mum, only because I kept pestering her. I want them. She's like, oh, okay then. Originally, I was brought up Christian, but as many in our community know, there's just something that doesn't quite sit right with Christianity for us. It seems very contradictory and fear-based, and it didn't feel like the freedom that was promised. So I went on an internal exploration of my own morals, my own beliefs. And that's sort of where I sort of picked up the oracle cards. I mean, Romany background as well, heritage. From there, I went on to pendulums, and now I'm doing spellcraft. Wow. That's how it evolved, basically. I just sort of like happened upon this path that just suddenly, oh, it's an actual thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, well, with me, I lost a family member, and I was always drawn to mediumship and psychic work. I was always for as long as I remember, I was really fascinated and kind of interested in not so much paranormal, but spiritual. I didn't know it was spiritualism at the time. I just knew that mediums could speak to people, and it was something I really was fascinated with. So when I lost a family member, I decided to go to a local spiritualist church, and that kind of just really opened the doors for me. I started sitting in development circle with my long-standing teacher, and I decided one night that I was going to go on a ghost hunt. So I went on a ghost hunt, and then from there I worked a lot of energy, and then that's kind of what led me to what I'm doing now. Is like energy work was massive for me. It was something that I really felt it just made sense. Everything seemed to make sense once I understood the importance of energy and how we work with it. That's kind of how I got to where I am. Yeah. So does anyone else have any other questions?
So, Kerry, what do you find yourself practicing the most now? Magically,
Divination.
spiritually?
Yeah, divination. I use my pendulum probably more than I should, but I'll show you my pendulum. I love. So it's my black obsidian pendulum.
Pretty.
Honestly, it's amazing. It's so powerful as well. As soon as I felt the energy was, yeah. So I have my pendulum, and I use that quite a lot. That's what I kind of lead to mostly. But with other divination ways as well, I use a lot of like candle work. I use a lot of candles. I really am fascinated by that. I love color work, all those kind of things. I see aura, so I like to work with color because it's quite significant to me as well. So, what about you?
Me, I do a lot more spellcraft, as in like candle magic, sort of edging into sigil work as well. I've done quite a few sigils that have worked really well for me. So those are my two fortes at the moment. Candle magic, I've definitely had really good results with. Sigils, I'm working on it. But if I'm not happy with the sigil, then I won't work it. If that makes sense. I'll put it away. And then I'll go back and work on it again. David, what about you?
I do a lot of
all sorts.
I do a lot of stuff. I do a lot of energy work. Most of my work revolves around energy. I don't need any tools or anything. I can just kind of do something on the fly. Every now and again, I will pull out some candles and do some candle work and sigils. My sigil work tends to be a little bit different than a lot of other people's. A lot of people write their sigils down and activate them that way. I visualize them and I empower them that way. And they just kind of like, the energy just kind of like makes the sigil and then just kind of sticks around me. So I can do it that way, or I can, I tend to name off some runes, and depending on what rune I need for what, and so on and so forth, I'll name off a couple of runes and then just visualize those floating around me, and those kind of work that way. Oh,
sorry, we have a comment, but we've lost David. He's hidden behind.
Sorry, David.
I'll just do this.
Just out.
So Kelly Louise Connor would like to know if we have any advice on websites that I could learn more on the subject. I have just got a gift of my first cards and also runes, and I'd love to learn more about them. and I'm not sure what path I'm on yet. Okay, so if you head on over to Fable's website, we are currently doing loads and loads of different blogs, and we've got loads of information coming up. I don't think we've got anything on specifically runes and tarot yet, but my top tip for tarot is to go with your first thought. Pull a card. Whatever your impression is at that moment is what the message is. Don't think about it too much. Just say it.
Unless you're a Capricorn and you can't break away from the rules, then read all the book. Not everyone learns differently, and everyone kind of progresses differently. So what works for some people might not work for others. I don't necessarily work with tools just because I find it very hard to do so. Tarot, I just don't seem to be able to get my head around. I use oracle cards, which are great for me. I second Fable's website, not just because of the information that's on there, but there's also some great free content as well that you can print off, use, adapt your own spell work, adapt to what you already know, increase your knowledge. There's always new content on there, not just stuff that obviously is sold through the website. So, for example, there's lots of self-care tips, there's lots of herbal tea tips, there's lots of candle tips, like loads of stuff going on. And there's always links back to content that you're able to purchase off the website as well. So I do second Fables, but I also say like go. There's a lot of like ruins, for example. I know there's lots of heathens and Norse pagans groups as well that can use quite heavily. So you can go to development groups like that if you feel like you can work in a public forum. But really, it's about your relationship that you're about to build with your tools. So spend time with them, get to know them, understand them, blend your energy with them. You can do that through meditation. You can do that sleeping in front of your pillow, in a drawer next to you. There's lots of ways that you can adapt a relationship with your tools, because they're not just something that's going to aid you in your spirit psychic work. This is stuff that's going to be a part of your energy and an extension of yourself. You are one. So it's about developing that kind of connection with them and understanding what they actually mean. Because just like you're unique, they are too. Although you might seem like they're quite generic, they really aren't. And how they are going to respond to situations is something that you need to learn with. And that's not something you're going to do overnight. That's something you're going to do over weeks and months. And before you know it, you'll just pull one and you'll, like Sarah said, you'll get an impression. It might not even be that long, but you'll get your impressions. Irrespective of your runes and your tarot cards, go over to Fables anyway. Because like I said, there's lots of free content. So if you're about to, for example, I call them Book of Shadows. What do you guys call them?
I call it a leaf.
I have two different meanings. I have my grimoire, which is the hard copy. That is where everything tried and tested goes. And then I've got my Book of Shadows, which is where all my experiments and stuff go.
David, what do you call yours?
A leaf.
Oh, wow. What, like
we're
a literal...
to be different.
Like a leaf. We're druid. We're very tree oriented, and we call our group calls it a leaf.
Well, whether you call it a leaf, a grimoire, or a Book of Shadows, there is grimoire print-offs where you can print them off, add them to your Book of Shadows from, like I said, teas, herbal, like even the blogs are fantastic sources of information. How to use candles, how to use herbs. There's a lot of research that Sarah's put into a lot of stuff, so it's very informative. So I'm not just saying this because I'm working with Sarah. I'm not associated to the website, so I have no reason to advertise it. But at the same time, I do use it quite heavily. So go over and have a look. I hope that has answered your question.
Also, David uses runes. Go, David, go.
Oh, David, go, Gadget David.
I use a site called Sunnyway Runes, sunnyway.com. If I can't exactly remember the rune meaning or anything like that, but I also my high priestess has printed us off this deck of cards, and on each one on the front is the rune, and you flip it over to the back, and it has the rune meaning, the name, the rune meaning, and then you flip it over, and it shows the rune reverse meaning if it has a reversal meaning like that. So flashcards have been really really good for learning the runes and things like that. I also like to, when I get a new rune set, I like to reach in the bag and choose one, and I'll look at it, and I carry that rune with me in my pocket for a week, and I think about it at least once a day. What does it mean? And so on and so forth. I'll sleep with it. I'll throw it under my pillow and sleep with it, and just kind of contemplate on it for a whole week.
That's what I do with tarot.
Yeah, I do that with crystals. I put crystals underneath my pillow. I feel like as much as I know crystals have got like the metaphysic kind of aspect to them, I also like doing readings with them as well. So tarot crystals to me are more effective. Effective. That's okay. More effective than other sources of divination or readings, psychic work. However, my most favorite type of psychic work is psychometry. I love psychometry. I really do. So if there's anyone else that has any kind of yeah.
Can you elaborate on psychometry? Because some of our viewers might not know what that is.
Yeah, so psychometry is basically working with energy. So it goes back to really like how I first started on my journey. Basically, you're reading the energy that is around an item, object, or photo. So you would hold it and get your impressions on it, and you can link to speed. I mean, there should be a real discipline between psychic work and mediumship. They're completely separate, different entities. In my teaching, anyway, in my teaching, they are. And there should be a discipline between working with both. You should be able to work with one or the other, and if they join together, then that's absolutely amazing. So psychometry is a psychic approach, and you read the energy around an item. Now, if you think about, we have a lot of theories, and I'm going to talk in paranormal, but we have a lot of theories like about energy, stone tape theory, and stuff like that. So if you follow that thought process, then you understand the importance of how energy can attach itself. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that ghosts attach themselves. I'm not saying that. But energy has a good way of leaving a unique fingerprint. And that's what psychometry is you read that unique fingerprint. So, yeah. I like doing that. That's my thing. My bag.
Psychometry. I have a stick that somebody gave me forever ago. It's in my bag for no reason right now. And when they gave it to me, I just kind of read its basically its history and how it got to where it was and so on and so forth. And just to see if I was kind of on the right track, I handed it to one of my other friends who does psychometry, and they said the exact same thing I did about the stick.
Amazing.
So, it normally sits on my altar. It's just in my bag today.
That's amazing.
Intention, told you this. It was meant to be.
Save it. Put it in my pocket for later. We'll save it for later. Yeah. But other than that, with terms of like psychometry as well, like David said about the six, it's a good. You're able to get a good feel of a place, a location, and this goes on to sacred grounds and stuff like that. So that's why I like. That's not so. That is psychometry, but I guess it isn't. But being able to pick up on history or high impact situations that have happened, that have taken place, on even from a locket to a ground, that is like soaked in so much. Yeah, I find that really, really fascinating.
Yep.
So going back to witchcraft, now we're all on different paths. Let's see if we can spot the differences, if you like. Do you guys have any deities, or do you work with the directionals, or do you work with the elements? How do you do your work? Or do you even just work with spirit? David?
David? I'm like,
one of you.
Okay. So I work with Odin, the Old Father, and he's got like over 100 different names. So it just depends on what aspect of him I'm working with when I call him. Now, I also, from way back in the day, I am dedicated to Bridget, the Celtic fire god. Hey, there's a sister. So, I am a dedicated Bridget as well, and it's different when I work with her from when I work with her to when I work with Odin, and I will work with them separately. Really, I don't ever mix them because it just doesn't make sense to me to mix those two.
They seem like two separate energies, don't they? Yeah.
Yes. Now, when I do lay out offerings, if I'm just doing a random offering, I'm gonna offer to both of them. I don't leave one out. If I'm just at a crossroads or just outside or wherever, and I have a little handful of blueberries, I'm just like, here, guys, here's some offerings. Just kind of feed it to the birds. But yeah, so I do have my dedications that I work with. I work heavily with ancestors. That's a big part of my craft is ancestors.
Kerry?
Yeah, no, I second ancestors. When I have friends that do what I do, and like with spirit work and stuff, and that's what we do. We work with our ancestors when we do spirit work. My family, I have Celtic origins, which I wear quite proudly with my freckled skin, which is almost so white it's almost see-through. And my
She's a goat.
hair, honestly, I'm so pasty, it's ridiculous. I'm so white. So I wear them quite proudly. My nan's, it's Welsh, there's Irish, there's so much in there. So my path is quite, I follow the Celtic path anyway. And Bridget is my deity. But I am drawn to, yeah, I know, right? It's my jam. But yeah, but I am drawn to Freya as well, the goddess of love and war. So, but predominantly is Bridget. Yeah, that's samesies. We're twinsing. I love that. Yeah. So, what about you, Sarah?
Well, I've only recently, within the last year, discovered who my deity is. She came to me rather than the other way round. She gave me my magic name. Her name is Hina, and she is a Hawaiian goddess. But I work quite closely with spirit animals as well, my totem animals. Ancestors do come into it, but they're more like guides for me. I mean, I have my nan, she's always nudging me, like, you've got to do this. It's like, oh, yeah, I'll do it in a minute. Like, no, you do it now. I'm like, okay, nan. But I mean, yeah, I'm mostly spirit animals and Hina.
Okay. So, in terms of your kind of what your day to day, how involved is your path in your day to day? You know, I know you do fables, so it's quite hard because obviously that's a part of your work. But when you're not working, and it's just how much of your craft goes into your life, your living.
So for me, I put intention into a lot, although I don't have time to do all these fancy rituals and all of that stuff. Much as I'd love to, I just don't have the time to do that. But I use my intention. So my first cup of coffee, I'll bless it in the morning so that I have a good day. Sometimes someone comes along and ruins that for me, but okay, it happens. That's the whole part of being human, I guess. But no, I put a lot of intention into my housework, for example. Yeah. When I'm hoovering or dusting, I'm sweeping away. I'm consciously sweeping away negative energies.
Yeah.
I'll have a cleansing salt bath.
Yeah.
To rid myself of negative energy, to ground myself, and to amplify any intentions that I may have during my meditations in the bath as well. So it's little things like that. So little and often is the way I work. What about you, David?
Yeah, I could say the same thing. I do a lot of I ground. I don't know how many times a day. I do it with my breath. Just breathe in, pull the energy up, and I breathe out all the excess. I can't. I really can't even count how many times a day I do that. I do a lot of energy work throughout the day. As far as even so much as walking through a doorway, I acknowledge Bridget every time I walk through a doorway, because that's kind of one of her spaces, is an in-between space. So I kind of just touch the side of the door and I just think of her real quick as I pass through. I really, sweeping. Anytime I sweep, I just kind of push the energy out. Even so much as if I open a window, I just kind of like circulate the energy in my house real quick and just freshen everything up, basically. Cooking, I definitely try to add good intentions and healing energies into my food and anything I make. So it's definitely a way of life.
What about you, Kerry?
Salt baths. I love a goddess salt bath. So I use moon water and do meditation. So they're always good on the full moon. I brush thrice is the right way to say, yeah, thrice, yeah. So I brush the first time, and then the second time, and the third time I'll add sea salt and different herbs, just to get rid of any kind of stagnant energy, and it can flow through, and kind of, so I like doing that. Intention work, I always, I'm always putting good intentions out there. I always, think about those that I try and do it as often as I can, because not only is it good to put that kind of energy out there, but it's also really grounding as well. Just taking a moment to try and think about a situation and send it good energy. And I say that, but in my head I always see that memes, the Care Bears with what I imagine sending good vibes out with.
We're all Care Bears at heart.
That's what I see. The big hair bear hearts. Yeah.
Watch out for something.
I can do that. But so I like doing that. Intention work is always a good thing. And then if I can just do blessings every now and then, if a new situation arises or something new comes in, then I always ask for a little blessing for it. But yeah, I think because it's become such a natural part of my everyday, I don't think about it enough. But we have Laura in the chat room. She's left 2 messages now. Laura's my best friend. Laura, I remember she told me about this dream that she had. We were talking about pendulums before, but referring to the comment that she's made, she told me about this dream that she had, that she was gifted in her dream a rose quartz pendulum, and it had gold flecks in it. So she said, I'm going to order one. So I said, order one. And when it come, you couldn't see in the picture, but when it actually arrived, it was a rose quartz, but it had gold flecks in it. It was put in resin. But she didn't realise that's what it was at first. So she was like, this is what I dreamt about. But she also talks about in the chat room, she says, I'll show. I've just started learning about Norse pagan. I'm extremely pulled towards this, like the gods Odin, Thor, Loki, Freya, but more drawn to Freya. Me and Laura started like a new little health kit. We've been on it for a while now, and the instructor that supports us, he's Norse pagan. So we're always learning little bits and pieces about just his everyday by just talking to him so much, and it is a really fascinating religion pathway. I don't know if I don't know if quit it, I don't know. I don't want to be disrespectful and quit something it isn't. But I actually really enjoy learning about this particular path. I know you mentioned Odin. I know Odin's like you said, I don't know enough about his past comment, but he's a big
he's the top tier.
Yeah. So it's such a fascinating, and it's really old. There's so much I don't know how to it's deep, the roots are so deep with it as well, that I often find now that when I talk to people about symbolism, ruins, anything like that, I always tell them, if you ever just want a bit of light reading, have a look at Norse paganism and see what you think, because I just feel like there's something in them that will resonate so much with that. So yeah, so that's something Laura's doing.
And
Also, Laura, sorry.
oh, I don't know how your groups are over there. Now, over here in America, we have a lot of I like to call them gatekeepers. We have people that if you don't practice our way and do it exactly like this, exactly as I tell you to, then you're not doing it right, and so on and so forth. Now, getting more into current events, we have groups over here that have adapted and adopted Norse paganism and symbolism and used it. They use it racially, and I don't agree with that.
Really?
So, yeah, yes. So we, those of us that actually do practice, are kind of spearheading a resistance of if we notice somebody that is doing that with our symbols, we will call them out on it in public and be like, this is not right, because this is an all-encompassing, this is a spirituality, and then it's not right for you to use our symbols like this. But
It's
definitely,
insulting.
yeah. So definitely, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know about how groups are over there, but make sure that that you're comfortable and you trust the person who's teaching you about, well, really any spirituality, but especially with Norse paganism and everything. Make sure that you're comfortable with the person, and make sure to just do your own research as well. I would recommend, because you have a lot of people who try to say that it's this way or no way, when there's loads of and you can go into like research articles, people with PhDs and so on and so forth that have written about this and that have their doctorates in Old Norse and Scandinavian studies. And I would definitely recommend doing that, because that's always interesting.
Yeah, you've got to follow your gut. Whenever you're taking, even from us, if what we say doesn't resonate with you, you can either take it or you can leave it. You are absolutely free to do that. Don't ever let anyone tell you that you have to do this or you have to do that, because that's not freedom.
Yep.
No.
And the whole point of being spiritual is to have that freedom.
Especially,
Yeah.
I find that even with like mediumship and stuff like that, this is so important for people to understand that nothing is written in stone. You are the creator of your own destiny. You have your own free will, and that is your right. That is what, there's no one that can take that away from you but yourself. So, you know, we've all been in that situation where we've been compromised, but to have such impact in it. I mean, I've heard stories where people have gone on to have divorces after having a reading done because they've been told that their partner was cheating on them, or they've been told that the business in Australia is going to do absolutely fantastic, so sell up, go, and they're on their butts. It's not gone anywhere, you know. So it's important that you have like self-advocacy and understand that you are the creator of your own destiny, and that you can take what you're being told, you can take it on board, but you should never let it influence your decisions. Just like emotions, treat a reading like emotions. You should never make decisions in an emotion. You should never make a decision based on a reading. And I know I've gone off subject, but I'm not. It's the same with Wiccan, witchcraft, Druidism. It's so unique to you. If it doesn't fit, don't wear it. Find something else, or find a source of information that you can go, actually. And it's not about confirming your already instilled belief. It's about elaborating on something that you feel you have an understanding of, and it has to resonate with your own core values. And if it doesn't, it's never going to feel right. So that's my advice. If you're looking for things, if you're new, be broad, be really broad, and kind of find your tribe, really, and then just get in where you fit in. Yeah, definitely my advice.
Going more into the symbolism and divination and everything, also, you know, something might not mean the same thing to you as it means to another person. So like I might, you know, be stirring my cup of coffee or whatever and look down and see a flame. And to me, that might mean transformation, to where somebody else that might mean power or going forward something else. Like a symbol to you is not going to mean the same thing to somebody else.
No, and it's exactly the same with colour. So colour, for example, I've spoken about colour work and aura. So looking at someone's aura and seeing a colour around someone. For example, blue for me means emotion, not water, it means a type of emotion, and usually it's not a great one. But blue for you could mean something completely different.
Blue for me means calm, and also kind of like they're in a learning process.
Okay, so that's a prime example. So I can see blue, or I can see whatever color it is that you're seeing, the same meaning but different colors. We could see the same thing in different colors, and it will mean the same thing for us. So it's about going, like with the tarot cards and with the ruins, it's about understanding what works with you as well, and really homing in. You can find some amazing tutorials, online meditations, loads of things on YouTube, not just our amazing blogcast over here. There's so much more that you can work with to that you can work with that can make things a little bit easier for you to understand what you are experiencing, because sometimes that's the most frustrating thing, is that you will experience something, not understand it, but not know how to process it either. So yeah, it's about finding your avenues of information. Sarah?
Hi, I'm back. Sorry. Fam. What was the conversation? My child was talking to me.
Oh, okay. We were talking about colours, and we were talking about different symbols would mean different things to different people, and yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah, that'll bag.
Pink's my favourite colour because for me, pink, it's loving. For me, it's a maternal colour. Yeah, so that's my favourite colour. As you can see,
kind of universal for everyone.
My decor is pink and grey.
Okay, so if you had someone that approached you and said that they were interested in this, in your particular pathway, what's the one piece of advice that you have learned through trial and error that you would like to give to someone else? Sarah?
Me? What I said before, don't let anyone tell you what you should and shouldn't believe, because at the end of the day, it's your path. It's your avenue to explore different things. I mean, I'm an eclectic witch, so I literally take what resonates with me and the rest I leave. If it works for me, great. If it doesn't, thanks, but no thanks.
Okay. David?
So if somebody comes to me and they want to learn something or so on and so forth, Druidry is considered a semi-closed practice, which means it's not like completely closed, but it is semi-closed. So it's kind of through invite. I don't know really how to describe that. We have a way of kind of sorting through who's gonna fit. And a lot of it comes down to how dedicated you are. How willing are you to put in the work? So for me, if somebody comes up and asks me a question of like, hey, I want to learn to do this, I'm going to see how willing they are to work towards it.
Okay, that makes sense.
What about you, Kerry?
I would say, I think I would echo what Sarah said and just not let anyone put you in a box. And don't knock it until you tried it. The other one.
They're not all running around naked, shagging sheep and God knows what else, you know what I mean?
Oh, God, that article.
We like to be naked, but not necessarily in public, okay?
In private.
Well.
Yeah, we're not congregating on a beach under a full moon.
Having massive orgies. No,
I mean,
no.
back in the day they did though. Like they were having a while of a time. Back in the day.
There were laws that put against it.
Yeah, but now we have cameras everywhere, and it's just.
I know, right? It's not exactly private.
No, the man always trying to bring us down, eh? But yeah, so that was what I would say. Don't knock it until you try it. And if you don't understand something, then you don't even have to read about it. Go on a YouTube. There's loads of. Be careful of your sources. That's something. There is people that have an agenda that they want to put a thing across, and they will put it in a perspective that is either for or against. If you're gonna watch something, make sure it's impartial, because you're gonna get both sides of the fence. You're gonna see the both, yeah, and you can then make an informed decision on the information that you're being given, rather than just, confirmation bias. I have a belief, therefore I will seek information to validate that belief. You won't have that, and you don't want to have someone's opinion because it's someone else's. You want to be able to say, this is my opinion that I have made because I have made the effort to inform myself correctly. Because if you're not going to do that, go on.
Something interesting to add on to what you were saying is, you, how did you put that? The somebody else's agenda and belief being put into it. A lot of it's hard to find pre-Christian Scandinavian and Icelandic lore and things like that. So that is something when you definitely have to sort through if you're trying to get down to the root of what they believe pre-Christian. You definitely have to do a lot of digging and a lot of research, and even a lot of the translations. We'll take the Goldra book for example. You have to take that kind of with a grain of salt, because that was translated by I could be wrong about this, so I don't want to lie about it, but
Disclaimer.
I want to say, right.
Don't be telling tales, David.
But I want to say the Goldra book was translated by a monk, so that there obviously is going to be heavily Christianized information and influence in that.
Yeah. I'd also like to put the argument out there. We're getting all controversial now. With spellcraft, a lot of people have got this idea that it's bibbidi bobbidi boo bang. It don't work like that. It is based on the belief that your intentions will bring to you what you desire, require, need, whatever, which is essentially a prayer.
Yep.
Yes.
Guys?
Something else I kind of want to toss out there is a lot in the pagan community, there is a lot of Christian bashing. And on one hand, I kind of understand where a lot of people...
Old wounds.
Yeah, who have moved away from Christianity, because a lot of us come from Christian backgrounds, feel wronged or hurt in some way, shape, or form by the Christian community, and so on and so forth. But we also have to remember that we do have Christian practitioners as well. And a lot of times they feel silenced in groups where people are making jokes, they're bashing, and so on and so forth. And they don't feel like they can speak forward because they feel like they're going to get jumped on and attacked for saying, like, hey, I'm a Christian practitioner. I use the whole book of Psalms as a spell book, or so on and so forth. So that's something that I think a lot more pagans need to be aware of.
This is true. Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean,
some of our brothers and sisters are Christian.
Yeah, they are. And I've met some amazing ones, and they're really good at what they do. And you know, they have Jesus as their deity, if you like.
Mm-hmm.
It's you know what I mean? There's so many different branches. It's just amazing, really.
Yeah. See, to be fair, I've never thought of it like that. I know I have friends that are Catholic and they are Wiccan pagan as well.
Yeah.
I do believe that it creates this duality with them that sometimes causes a lot
of opposition.
There's a lot of conflict there, because they're almost all right. I don't know if this is going to be an all right analogy, but it's almost like two parents that have been divorced and they want to stay true to both parents, but at one point or the other, one is going to be over the other. and I feel like sometimes that it creates a real duality between them, and like a real dissonance. Pardon?
Like an internal conflict.
Yeah, a dissonance. Like it just sometimes I think the belief doesn't match the attitude or the kind of value, and I feel like that can cause like a real problem. Like you said, not only do they find it hard to speak out within a community where, don't get me wrong, I've made comments when I talk about Wiccan, so I can't say that I haven't, but I can't imagine how that must have made someone who may have been identified as both, and how that might have been for them to listen to that if I had said that in their company. So that's given me something to think about. Be more mindful. Know your audience, guys. Know your audience. But so Laura's asked a question. So I know you work with candles and different candles. I'm assuming she means different colours mean different things. So what colours mean what in spell work? So I'm going to hand over to Sarah. I know that there's information about some fables, isn't it? You've already got this information.
Yeah, if you go to fables.co.uk, under the blogs and info tab, you will find grimoire pages or grimoire inserts, and you will find there's a little infographic with all your candle colours on there. But yeah, the yellow is, help me out, David. Yellow is joy, happiness.
Yellow can be happiness, joy, harmony, friendship.
That's it.
Things like that.
Pink's love and self-love and kindness. Brown's grounding. That's earthy. You can use that for
healing.
Yeah. Have a look on the website because there's so many different colours. It would take. This would be a video on its own, really.
There's things that I learned that I didn't know. These are things that I've just come about. So obviously what I do know is white can be used for anything. If you haven't got a coloured candle, white can be used for anything. The best kind of candles to use are beeswax candles. So they're really, really handy. But if you are on a budget and you don't mind, you can use birthday candles. I mean, they're not as authentic, and I mean, because beeswax candles are so different because of where they've come from. It signifies so much. So if you are going to use a candle, and it's like vegan friendly. What's the word? Organic. It's just a bit of everything in there. So yeah, if you want some wholesome candles, beeswax candles are the one. But if you are broke and you need some candles, birthday candles are good to go. Also, do not blow your candle out. Snub it out if you can't let it burn overnight and let it completely go. Don't blow it out.
My fingers.
Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah, pinch it.
No,
quickly.
No.
But no, also the dinner candles, although the beeswax candles are preferable and they're really amazing for dressing them.
Yeah.
So with your herbs and oils and stuff, dinner candles are really good, which you can get at Fables. They're really good if you want to carve in your if you want to carve in your sigils and or your intentions or the direction you're casting, that sort of thing as well.
Yeah, so if beeswax candles, if not the dinner candles, and
if not birthday candles.
You can get like solid coloured birthday candles for like, ridiculous 99p for loads. So,
and if all else fails, use a little white tea light.
I'm going to be honest. I can improvise like nobody's business, and I have needed a candle for something, and all I had was lard and yarn. It works.
It works. I mean, you can use crystals as well. If you need a pink candle, find some pink crystals if you've got pink crystals, or if you need a gold candle, you could use, I don't know, some sunstone or something. It's so easy to improvise. Or you could use herbs, find out the correspondence for the herbs and dress your candle with those herbs. Yeah,
this is the thing as well. Go on.
Oh, that's part of the beautiful thing that makes this spirituality so unique is the versatility of it. And also what I find fascinating is you use what you have. You know, back in the day, like 150 years ago, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have Amazon to ship us this exotic ingredient from across the world. So you'd walk in your own backyard and you'd find a stick on the ground and be like, you know what? I need to do this. And you just do it.
Definitely.
And it's whatever like sings to your soul as well. Like if it sings to you, then do it, because there's nothing like having that match vibration. It's like next level, and anything based off of that is going to be so good because it's growing from a place of connect. It's going to grow from a place of connect, and it's going to resonate. So go with it. And if you do something and you think that's not supposed to be there, but I really want to involve it, and as long as it's not harmful or hurtful to someone, then just do that.
Just
So yeah,
if you're Wiccan. If you're Wiccan.
The Wiccan in me is like, no, stop, come. So be kind. But no, I know everyone's different, but yeah, that's what I'd say. And I did actually mean, like, in my head, I'm thinking, like, I don't know, no extremities to add to your candle work. Just be safe and don't try it.
Be law abiding. Abiding.
Yes.
Yes.
That's exactly what I was trying to say.
Yes. You definitely don't want to go out and try to make a hand of glory.
No.
I have no idea what that is, but
dead man.
Oh, okay. Now I know. I learned today.
Oh, I can. So, I'll send you some information on it later.
Bedtime reading.
I'll be messaging Sarah tomorrow going, where can I get this? I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, it's important to have fun, because it's when you're enjoying things as well, when it's about bringing it up. For me, energy work is massive, so laughing and doing good stuff. And I know some people that when they craft, they listen to music. I do. Fleetwood Mac is on. I love it. I find other people have to do it in complete silence, so it is about what's unique to you. I love Fleetwood Mac. Stevie Nicks, she's amazing
girl.
I know, and she's so beautiful. I just love Fleetwood Mac as well. I'm not gonna lie, I can listen to the music. One of my best friends named Rhiannon, and she's named after the White Witch, the Welsh witch, in the song as well. And I'm like, so cool. Why couldn't my parents been like that? Why couldn't they give me a fantastic name like that? But yeah. Oh well. So yeah. So we're coming up to the end of the show. We've covered a bit of everything, and like it's been a really general kind of conversation. I just want to say thank you to David for joining us so short notice. We really are thankful that you joined us this evening. It's been
We
so
love
much
you,
fun.
David.
I always enjoy it.
Oh no, it's been so nice. And we've got plans as well for October we've been talking about, so we're going to do some amazing stuff with David coming up in the next couple of months, and trying to bring you guys a bit of everything from across the pond, both ends, so that's really good as well. We are not going to be here next week, but the following week we will be back, and we will be also advertising the up and coming shows as well around about that time as well. No, Laura, only I believe in the threefold law, I think. David, do you believe in the ever mind the rule of three? No. Sarah? No. I do.
Yeah. She's the good witch.
I kind of believe that if you hit me with a brick, I can hit you with one.
Exactly. Karma. I am karma.
It's all right. You shouldn't hit me with a brick, but I understand why you did. I'm joking. Yeah, I'm joking. Yeah. So thank you so much, David. Thank you for joining us again. And I'm going to say good night and goodbye to everyone. Good night, Sarah.
Good night.
Bye. Bye.